Welcome back to the Open Wheel Offline League Season 4, round number 17, with just 4 races to go. This championship still is not settled as Lewis Hamilton takes to the track, first car out, and he will begin his first lap qualified 14th at Kentucky, just barely avoided being in a big incident at the end of the race, made contact with the 07. As here he comes to the start-finish line for his first lap. 204.598 to begin his run. So hasn't qualified in the top half of the field yet. No car from Team Canada Dry has. But a 13th place finish, not too bad. He's also in new colors. Sponsor colors. Second lap, unfortunately that's going to be slower. 204.380. So his average will be just above 204. Nashville Superspeedway, very much lying in its name, as this is a short oval, 1 1/3 of a mile, so 4/3 of a mile. It's pretty darn tight. Up next is Hamilton's teammate, the 94 of Dawa Tenzin, qualified 24th at Kentucky, moved forward to a 14th place finish, so not a bad showing. As let's see what speed he has. Gets it up to 220, just a little bit over 220 entering turn 3. As he will now come to the line. First lap will be a 200.612, so just a little bit above 200. The turns here are quite tight and not quite banked enough, as he will also be slower on his second lap, 199.833. So his average going to be just over 200 with a 200.223. So that is Team Canada Dry. Hamilton 4 miles per hour faster than Tenzin. Up next is the 95 of Ethan Martz. Qualified last at Kentucky. Hasn't really been a good oval stretch for this team this season. He's going to enter turn 3. Get back up to the speed. First lap will be a 197.329, so well under 200. So lacking significant pace on this first lap. Let's see if he goes faster, but everyone else has gone slower so far. He will go pretty decently quicker. 200.351, which is faster than Tenzin's second lap, but not enough. His average will be 198.84. Now coming off his best result of the season is the 87 of Alessio Deletta. Had significant pace at Kentucky, led the second most laps. Wasn't quite able to get it done in the end, but here he goes into turn 3. Let's see where this first lap is at. 204.887, currently tracking to the top. See what speed he has on the second lap. So getting up to speed here to the line, as this one's going to be a very quick lap. 207.201. That is a 2.5 mile per hour jump. And that is going to go to the top by 1 mile per hour and a half with a 206.044. So a very good lap from Deletta. He's very good on these ovals. He showed that a lot last season, and he's starting to get some momentum going. The whole team has, for a matter of fact. Just like how they did last season, found a lot of speed near the end of the season, put him third in the championship. Right now, he just needs to get in the leader circle. Up next is the 54 of Mahavir Gunathan, teammate Ethan Martz, almost 8 miles per hour off the pole speed so far. So lacking pace in the team once again. But let's see if he has any speed. First lap is not good enough. 197.159. That is slower than Martz's first lap. He's going to need a big improvement on the second lap. Off turn 4 into the line. It'll be a 200.856, so nearly 4 miles per hour gained. But that first lap was still too slow. He is going to jump the 95 though to go P4 with a 199.008. So just above 199. Up next, 77 of Stingray Rob. The Magenta Trees had pace in qualifying at Kentucky. Had pace in the race. We don't know how the 00 would have done, but the 77 came home 6th. Led some laps. Stingray Rob trying to claw into the leader circle. He was recontracted for next season for the team, as this first lap will be a 204.432, currently tracking to third. Just a little bit under what Hamilton did on his first lap. Let's see the second lap. And it's going to be slower. 203.580. That's going to put his average at a 204.006, which will put him in third place, splitting the Team Canada dry cars. Up next, he's been pretty hot with qualifying lately, but just has had a lot of misfortune. It's the 33 of Marcus Armstrong, qualified pretty well at Kentucky, but taken out early. And that dropped him all the way down to 20th in points, so all the work that he had done has come undone. As let's see this first lap, is it hot? It is very hot. 206.370. That is by far the best first lap that we've seen. What does he have on lap number 2? Right now tracking to the top. Just gonna go a tick slower, 206.282. But that is a very good qualifying effort for the 33, which will take him to the top. So Deletta not gonna sit on pole. His second lap was faster than Armstrong's first, but his first lap was too slow to be able to beat Armstrong. Armstrong looking for pole number 3 of the season, and maybe his first win in the season. Up next is V42 of Gale Barnhart. Has not qualified well at all recently, but has back-to-back top 10s. And before those back-to-back top 10s, it had been a pretty long streak since he had gotten the top 10. Moved up to 19th in the standings. As first lap, not very good, 203.710. So well off his teammate's pace, currently tracking to P5. He's going to come off turn 4 now and will go quicker, 204.170. So that is still going to put his average at a 203.940, just a little bit off of the 77. So to 5th place. Up next, also hasn't really done well in qualifying recently, the 75 of Jacob Abel. Although he's down in 18th in points, he's been one of the most consistent drivers this season. I believe only him and his teammate Robbie are the only cars that haven't finished outside the top 20 in any race. But just no major result. Did finally get his first top 10 in a good while at Kentucky. As first lap, actually quite quick. That is a 204.650. That currently tracks him to 3rd. Just a little bit slower than Deletta's first lap, so maybe he has speed in this second lap. No, it's much slower. 203.364, over a mile per hour lost. That is going to put his average 1,000th above Stingray Rob, 204.007. So we'll just barely beat out the 77. Nobody has set a speed in the 205s yet. A lot of 204s and 203s. As up next is the 00 of Glover Lord teammate. He's generally qualified around Stingray Rob at every point in the season, especially on the ovals. They've been right by each other. So Stingray went P5. Let's see where the 00 goes. ran well early at Kentucky, but then made an error that sent him airborne. So could have been a good result there. First lap will be a 204.136. Not particularly quick. But that will put him in fourth so far. If he goes faster, this could go to a pretty solid run. As he does go quicker, 204.476. That'll put his average at a 204.306. Just a little bit off Hamilton, but we'll go P4. Another one in the 204s. Up next is V29 of Benjamin Peterson, qualified on the front row at Kentucky. Finished down in 7th, but it was still a very strong run. A lot of the top 8, I believe, were pretty glued together, so 7th means he was in the lead pack for the whole race. As his first lap will be very good, 205.750. So he's tracking good so far. But right now to 3rd place, he's going to need a little bit more to beat teammate Deletta. As he will unfortunately go slower on his second lap, but still another solid lap, 205.414. So speed being shown on the ovals for the Banshees of Little Miami, as he will go to P3. The first one in the 205s with a 205.492. Up next is the 07 of Catherine Legg. Has not had a good streak as of recently. Hasn't had top 10 since maybe Montreal. He went from Rookie of the Year down to like 4th in the championship to 15th, 4th in the Rookie of the Year. It's been a rough stretch as of recently. Qualifying has been a bit of an issue, as the first lap, 203.953. Not a lot of speed being shown there. Currently tracking to 8th. Second lap, oof, will be slower, 203.563. So that will put her average at a 203.758, which will be down in 9th. So qualifying woes continue for the 07 team, as up next is the number 90, Guy Gagne, who hasn't really ran well on the ovals as of recently. Finished multiple laps down at Kentucky after contact with Shane Van Gisbergen. Didn't do well at Pocono, but did all right at Iowa, which is a short oval, so Maybe this will play into a bit of his strength. First lap, pretty solid, 205.018. That's currently tracking him to fourth. The solid pace on that first lap. Let's see the second lap. Unfortunately, it's going to be slower, 204.607, but still a very good qualifying effort. 204.813 will put him in fourth. So halfway through qualifying now. Now we have last race winner, the 99 of Brennan Hubbard. Has had pretty decent pace on the super speedways in that 99 car, but not a lot on the short ovals. But he did shoot himself way up in points, went from 20th to 13th, and pretty far away from the leader's circle cutoff. Still within one race though, but maybe that'll be enough to keep him in. First lap, not very good, 203.10183. That is tracking all the way down in 11th. So not having the same success that he had at Kentucky. Second lap will be quicker, but not by much, 203.623. Qualified 10th at Kentucky on his route to a win. Very big underdog win, but not the pace. Pace isn't transferring to this week. Will beat out Tenzin by a good bit, but still gonna be 11th at best, so no matter how the rest of the field does, he won't better his performance at Kentucky. Up next is the 03 of Dorian Pin. Keeps having up and down days, had a very good race at Summit Point despite multiple issues. Rebounded to a 6th place finish, but pitted late at Kentucky when she could have been on for a solid top 10 finish. And that left her all the way down outside the top 20. So let's see what the pace is here. Pretty good on the first lap. 204.904. Right now, that will put her in fourth. Let's see if she keeps the pace. Second lap, just a bit slower. 204.887, very small decrease. But she'll stay in P4. 204.896. So we'll just barely beat out the number 90. That's going to be another car that goes to fourth. Right now, Armstrong and Deletta holding strong on the front row. But we still have a lot of heavy hitters left to go. Up next is the number 12 of Miles Rowe. 3 straight top 10 finishes, back-to-back top 5 finishes. This 12 team has looked pretty hooked up. Not just him, but Eventide Racing as a whole. Big improvements when they made some upgrades. It has been reflected well. Miles Rowe qualified 11th at Kentucky. Let's see what he has today. First lap, only a 203.701. That currently puts him down in 12th. So far not looking good on this first lap. He's going to need some speed on this second lap. Will go better. A 204.083, so pretty decent jump there, but not going to be enough to move him pretty far up the grid. 203.892 will be his average. Will just barely beat out Catherine Legg in the 07. So he's going to go to P11. So will at best tie his qualifying effort at Kentucky, but with the big hitters still coming, I don't think that's going to hold. Up next is V47 of Lindsey Brewer. Hasn't qualified well at Pocono or Kentucky, but has finished well. Finished on the podium at Kentucky in 3rd place. Finished 6th at Pocono. And her teammates are 2nd and 3rd, but she has qualified a bit off them so far. But this first lap, not too shabby, 204.624. That will track her to 6th so far, so still a little bit behind the 87 and the 29. But not by much. Second lap, unfortunately, going to be slower, 204.423. That'll put her average at a 204.524, which will be just a bit quicker than the 44 of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton currently looking to be the best rookie qualifier. Still 2 left to go, and the next one's going to be, honestly, the next 2 are going to be pretty hard to beat. Not a bad showing from the 44 so far, and not a bad showing by the 47. Still not the same qualifying pace as her teammates. Up next is the 18 of Callum Ilott. Has just not had pace on the ovals at all this season, and has recently just not had a lot of good luck go his way. Was looking like a championship contender, but has fallen all the way down to 9th. It's going to take a pretty big rebound to get back to where he was. Hasn't qualified well at Kentucky or Nashville, so let's see what he has today. First lap, 204.615. Not bad, but needs more. That's currently looking to 6th. Second lap needs to be quicker. Fortunately, just going to be a tick slower, 204.476. That will average a 204.546, which will be just a tick faster than what Lindsey Brewer just did, and will take him to P6. Just missing out on the top 5 as of now. Up next is V25 of David Malukas. Qualified third at both Pocono and Kentucky and finished on the podium in both. Third at Pocono, second at Kentucky, led the most laps at Kentucky. Also finished second at Texas. So this guy been a very strong oval racer. So look at him to go for pole first lap. 205.361. He's going to need a whole mile per hour if he wants to contend for pole. Right now that is tracking him to fourth, just ahead of Dorian Pinn. Second lap, let's see if he does go quicker. Just a little bit slower, 205.326. But another pretty solid qualifying effort for David Malukas. Definitely look at him to be a contender in the race. So he will go to fourth, just behind the Banshees of Little Miami teammates. So good effort. Up next is the 27 of Yuki Tsunoda for Eventide Racing. Very strong on the ovals. 2 wins on the season, both at the super speedways. But let's see what pace he has on the short ovals. Struggled at Milwaukee, but looked pretty good at Iowa. Didn't qualify well, but raced pretty well up to 6th place. As coming off turn 4, first lap, just a little bit off Malukas's 2 laps, 205.282. So right now tracking to 5th in the low 205s. Let's see if this next lap's better. Unfortunately, it is not. You'll go down to a 204.694, so pretty big decrease there. That's gonna put him back a little bit. Doesn't lose too much. We'll just fall out of the 205s, and we'll go to P5 with a 204.988. It's just a little bit off that 205 mile per hour mark. So we'll beat Rowe by a pretty good margin there, as we now have 20 cars complete, 6 left to go. It's your top 6 in the championship. Up next will be the 30 of Robbie Lohr. Hasn't qualified well, but as I said earlier, he's been pretty consistent, has never finished outside the top 20. He's qualified about where Abel has pretty consistently. Abel sits 12th right now, just above 204. So he's going to need a lot more. Still clinging on to fighting for the championship, but those dreams may be a little bit dashed, as his first lap is a 204.292. He's going to need some more speed, but right now tracking above teammate Abel. And just behind his brother Glubler, he goes to 12th so far. Let's see what the second lap has. Oh, much slower, 203.485. So big loss on that second lap has dropped him to a 203.889 average, which will be pretty devastating as that will drop him below Miles Rowe. So he's going to go down to 16th. So a very big decrease will hurt, but looked to be pretty solid in his first lap. Qualifying woes continue for this team. So he's going to have to fight his way through the field once again. Up next is V24 of Chet Jordan. Was looking at a top 10 finish at Kentucky. Late race contact, not of his own fault. Puts him down to a 20th place finish. As let's see what speed he has. So far been carrying the torch for Silly Men Racing, but teammate Armstrong leads the way. First lap at 204.817. Not too bad. Right now, that is tracking him to 7th, just barely above Guy Gagné. But if he loses any bit of time here, that will probably drop him below. Oh, that is a huge decrease on the second lap, 203.442. That is quite odd to see that big of a decrease. This will drop him below Glubler and down to 12th. That second lap was nearly a mile per hour and a mile an hour and a half slower than his first lap. You gotta be consistently good across the two laps, because one bad lap may validate a good first lap. So not the strongest performance of Jordan will once again put him towards the middle of the pack. Call him an oval ringer, but it hasn't really shown this season outside of Iowa, and a little bit of Milwaukee, but just not showing what he usually shows. I mean, Watkins Glen is kind of it's kind of ovalish with the configuration that we ran, but I don't know if that counts. Up next is the car that took him out, number 9 of Connor Zilich, still trying to go for the championship. Had a pretty bad qualifying effort at Kentucky, but fought his way into the top 10. Then didn't hold his line on the last lap, caused an accident. He finished down in 21st. Still rookie of the year, but Malukas is coming up fast. First lap, 204.633. Nothing too incredible here. That's actually going to be below teammate Guy Gagné in 8th as of now. Let's see what speed he has on the second lap. Oh, that is extremely slow. An extremely slow second lap. 2 whole mile per hour off his first lap will drop his average to a 203.637. And that is going to be all the way down in 19th, just above teammate Brendan Hubbard. That cost him a lot of spots. I said you gotta be consistent, and something went wrong on that second lap. He's gonna be thinking about that one all up till the race, as the pressure has been mounting in the championship fight, especially with Malukas qualifying 4th. He's not home free yet. Up next is the 43 of Shane Van Gisbergen. Finished 2 laps down at Kentucky, had contact with Guy Gagné. Has not done well on the ovals, and unfortunately it's hurt him a lot. Over 30 points back in the championship now. He needs a good breakthrough late in the season to try to rebound to a championship, as first lap is what he needs. 205.423. That's not going to be good enough for pole. He'd need to find a big improvement, but right now, tracking to fourth. Second lap, unfortunately going to be pretty slow. 204.257, so that's another big decrease from first lap to second lap. Still not a bad effort with an average of 204.840. That will put him just behind teammate Dorian Pin, down in seventh. 24 cars have now run. The field starting to take its form. Connor Zilic gonna have another rough qualifying performance, so he's really gonna have to make up for it in the race. But Shane Van Gisbergen, just ahead of him in points, has a decent effort. But we're gonna have to see what he gets done in the race. Did well at Milwaukee, which was a short oval, but Iowa did not go well. Was a nightmare race. But either way, he will be in the top 10 no matter how these other two cars go. Up next, Louis Foster, 29 points down, was the championship leader. But has not finished in the top 10 the last 4 races. That is not at all what you'd want to have happen as a championship leader trying to go for a run at the championship. First lap, 205.050. So he's looking good so far. Gonna need to keep pace on the second lap, which is where we've seen a lot of people fall off. Currently he's tracking to fifth. Gotta go quick because Ryan Preece has been a bullet, as this second lap is going to destroy his qualifying run. 203.278, nearly a 2 mile per hour loss, as that is going to tank his run. For some reason, these cars not being consistent lap to lap will put him just behind Glubler, but above Chet Jordan, so 13th. But he's going to be mid-pack once again, but you just can't allow that to happen if you want to make a serious play for the championship, especially with Ryan Preece, 6 poles on the season, looking for pole number 7. Armstrong looking for pole number 3. But all Armstrong can do is watch as Ryan Preece will roll out of pit lane. As here we go, number 64 Ryan Preece trying to challenge number 33 Marcus Armstrong. Both looking for another pole in the season. Armstrong needs points, Preece needs points. Both for 2 different reasons. Preece for the championship, Armstrong for the leader circle. Let's see what speed he has. To the line, first lap, And it is the fastest. No, it isn't. Just barely not the fastest first lap that we've seen. 205.927. Armstrong's was a bit quicker. Armstrong did slow down just a bit on his second lap, but not by much. Priest gonna need a big improvement to try to beat him. As here he comes to the line. He's not quite there. 204.957. Almost a whole mile per hour loss. But that will be Marcus Armstrong on pole once again. Priest's average of a 205.442. Only good enough for fourth. Not quite what he wanted, but still overall a good effort for Ryan Priest. But Armstrong, once again, will be on pole. Let's see if he can finally break through and convert. He has one win in his career back at season 2 at Dover, driving for the Masters of Motors in the number 4 car. Has not been re-signed for next season as of now. This could be a perfect opportunity to show himself off. So on your left is your starting lineup. Marcus Armstrong back on pole for his third pole of the season. So your provisional starting grid, row 1 going to be Armstrong once again. And once again, it's going to be another Banshees of Little Miami car in the front row, but this time it's going to be Alessio Deletta with his best qualifying effort of the season. Row 2, Benjamin Peterson will back up a good qualifying effort at Kentucky. And then Ryan Priest, your championship leader, coming in with a 29-point buffer, the biggest championship lead that anyone has had with 4 races left in the championship. So it's looking good for Ryan Priest so far, but he's still going to have to execute. Row 3, David Malukas gets another good qualifying effort, and Yuki Tsunoda has been very consistent in qualifying as of recently. And we'll start on row 3 once again. Row 4 will be 2 Swindlers cars. Dorian Pinn once again will be the best qualifier of the team, with Shane Van Gisbergen right behind. But he's had effort executing in the race. Row 5 gonna be the number 90 of Guy Gagne, and then finally Callum Ilott gets a top 10 start on an oval for the first time in a good while, as he will roll off 10th. Row 6, Lindsey Brewer once again far off her teammates. She'll start down 11th, and then Lewis Hamilton will have his best qualifying effort so far, starting in 12th. Row 7 is where we will find the double zero of Glubler Lore, beating Stingray Rob by a pretty decent margin. And then Louis Foster, not a good second lap, will tank his average. Row 8, same story for Chet Jordan. Gonna qualify deep in the field in 15th, with Jacob Abel right next to him in 16th. Row 9 will be Stingray Rob, alongside him, Gail Barnhart, both fighting for the leader circle, as row 10 will be Miles Rowe in a disappointing qualifying effort. Then just another rough qualifying effort by Robbie Lore will start him all the way down in 20th. Row 11, Catherine Legg, another disappointing qualifying effort. Then Connor Zilic will have his worst start of the season down in 22nd. He's going to have his work cut out for him tomorrow, as row 12 will be the 99 of Brennan Hubbard. It's going to be difficult to back up his win at Kentucky starting down there. Alongside him will be Dawa Tenzin starting where he started at Kentucky. Then rounding out the field once again will be the 54 of Mahavir Raghunathan and the 95 of Ethan Martz. So that is it for qualifying here at Nashville. Coming up next tomorrow will be the race under the lights, 100 laps. It's going to be a good fight to the end as this championship starts to come to a close.